carving festival that we have here. And the closest area you're going to come to it is to hear maybe a bit of thumping and scraping and stuff. You can't smell the cedar oak from where you are. Welcome to all of you. It's good to see you all.
Chew. Thank you, Joe. A couple other words.
Sir?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but I have a couple of people saying it's a bit quiet.
Yes. We'll do our best to use our stage voices here. I'll move a little closer as well. Okay, this festival like this certainly doesn't happen on its own, and we've had the good fortune over the last many years of having a number of organizations help fund and support the Carving on the Edge Festival. And we'd like to take a moment to acknowledge those organizations. The funders, the key funders for the festival this year are the Department of Canadian Heritage, the BC Arts Council, the Canada Council for the Arts, the Alberni Tla-o-qui-aht Regional District, the Tla-o-qui-aht Biosphere Trust, Destination BC, Tourism Tofino, and we'd also like to extend a special thank you to all of those who are friends and donors of the festival who give of their time and have made donations, small and large, to help make the festival possible the last many years. And in this very unique year as well, we've tried really hard to create some good stories and content and programming for you, and to do our best to ensure that we help continue to fulfill the vision and story of the festival by supporting artists and the culture work that's done as part of the festival. So you're going to see a little sampling of all of that this evening, tomorrow, and over Sunday. And as you may know, we tried to do a festival last year. We had a festival scheduled for September. And like many other organizations and people, were deeply impacted by the pandemic, and we didn't have one. And this is our creative response to what might be possible. I am not sure that a carving festival has ever in history been done online. This could be the first ever that I'm aware of. Even the very thought of it when we initially started talking about doing a carving festival online, I think most of the carvers kind of looked a little squinty-eyed at us, but nonetheless, we also aren't just a carving festival. There's a lot of story and culture and ideas that are shared, and we're going to try and translate that in this forum in as creative a way as possible. So with that, we've asked each of the board members, most of whom are here, to share a little bit about the session that they helped bring forward as part of the program for the festival this year. And I was hoping that I would go last, but we decided that we would go alphabetically, I think. So I think that means it's still me. So you get to hear my voice for a couple more minutes. So again, my name is Christopher Roy. I'm one of the board members. We'll hear from all the board members that are here today. And we each took it upon ourselves to help put forward ideas for sessions that you'll see over the next few days. And the sessions that I helped sponsor, or I'm not sure what the right language is, help bring forward as ideas for the programming were in large part for me conversations that happened with a really dear friend, former board member, and I hope future board member again, Gordon Dick. And if you know Gordon, he runs Untitled Gallery just outside of Port Alberni, and it's a shot territory. And Gordon is a really unique artist. We're going to screen a number of films that feature him in conversation with other artists. And what makes Gordon really unique as an artist is that he also owns and operates his own gallery. So in addition to being a full-time professional artist, he operates a gallery, and as such, he's in constant conversation with people about carving culture, history, design, meaning, material. everything from the very basic and germane to more sophisticated questions from nuanced art buyers. And so what we're going to see is some conversations that Gordon wanted to have with other artists that he was hoping to share with our carving community. The question that I had for Gordon was, what were the conversations he felt like were important for us to hear, and could we share those as part of the Carving Festival? So that's part of the programming that you'll see that that I had a part in working on for the programming. So I don't have a list. I'm not sure who's next. Who do we know? Who does that? Kelly, you go next.
Yeah, you'll pass the talking people.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for welcoming, or thank you for joining us for the opening of Carving on the Edge Festival online. And Kelly Foxcroft Poirier. So my new channel's name is Chi'isumka. It was gifted to me by Tim Paul, master carver and former board member, and his family for lifting up some work that we were doing in 2010 together. And I work really hard to live into what it means, which is pulling forward with everything you've got, with all of the knowledge. And I take that as seriously as I possibly can. I'm calling from Tsuma'as, otherwise known as Port Alberni, just down the road from Tofino. And as a fairly new board member, was welcomed in for this festival. And then with pandemic, it's become a very different festival, but an opportunity to connect online through our international community to our community to bring forward the pieces about the arts and culture that is happening on the edge, and the carving arts that we're passionate about. Alain, who is our tech host today, and I are bringing a session on cultural appropriation, a panel featuring Luann Neal and Yelmer Wenstab, to bring out into the light all of the complexity and some of the awkwardness that we feel around the subject of cultural appropriation. It was a conversation that's continuing and ongoing that was started at the last Carving on the Edge Festival and brought out all of the vulnerability, all of the feelings, all of the complexity, and all of the protectedness of our art forms here on the West Coast. As we shared the conversation with carvers, Indigenous and non-Indigenous in the space. And that's what makes Carving on the Edge so unique, is it brings together in one space carvers with the shared purpose of loving carving and the shared purpose of building relationship and connection. And in that, it creates a space for learning and having some pretty awkward and tough conversations. And so I'm really proud to say that we're continuing and we're deepening our learning together to really strengthen our capacity and our ability as community to find our way through and to find our way forward in a subject that feels a little touchy, that feels a little slippery. So in our session, through listening and through discussion, inviting open minds and open hearts, we're looking to create a space that we think doesn't really fully exist yet, that we're seeking to find a space where we meet in a good way, where we meet in respect, where we meet in humility around the carving art forms and all the places and spaces that those ancestral art forms come from. So we're really thankful. Luann and Yelmer, Helen and I did some planning and some pre-work, and we just landed in such an important reminder that what is the why we're doing this? What is all of our whys? And what I heard and was so thankful to be reminded of as Krista was speaking, especially in these times, we need more kindness. We need more openness to learn from one another, to correct our course together, to know that we are gonna make mistakes and we are gonna make errors and that we can learn and do better. To be in the honoring of the carving arts in its fullness, the whole story, you know, and that includes some bumps along the road that we can unpack and do better. So I'm really thankful for that. And just the most important reason we do this work as an artist, as a Tla-o-qui-aht mother, as a good human in this world, a love and kindness, a love of the carving arts, yes, and a love of this amazing ancestry of Northwest Coast style. But to truly love that, we also have to love and understand the people. We have to love and understand the culture. We have to love and understand the protocol and the governance. And it's taking it to that depth that we can have this conversation. And what Carving on the Edge is truly about is exchange, and how to have that exchange between people and between artists with honesty. I feel like I'm hearing Levi and speaking his words of honesty, humility, respect, kindness, and love. And so the festival brings an honoring of that. And this conversation, we want to invite all of those things and nuance, that we recognize that we're not going to come out of this session. It's not black and white. We're not going for answers, but we're going to build and stretch our muscles to be able to be in the conversation and feel our feelings about it and put into the center our good knowing, and that it's okay not to know. And so we look to arrive in a place where we love not only the art, but we forge forward our learning about the art, about each other, and about a possibility for our history forward in right relationship together. So we're on a journey in this session, and we know we're on a journey in our world where we don't think we're going to have the answers for solving cultural appropriation or for solving how to reduce all the harm in the world. But we trust that by continuing to connect, by continuing to engage, and continuing to surface our wisdom, when we do it together, that we'll get a little bit closer to well-being for our art form, for our carving, and for each other. And I hope that in doing this work that we are honoring the ancestral past and being good ancestors to our future ancestors. So a little bit about cultural appropriation with love, humility, and depth. So we look forward to you joining us in our session tomorrow, starting at 1 o'clock till 3:30. We'll be hearing from panelists Luann Neal and Yelmer Wenstob, who bring so much knowledge, so much depth, and so much kindness to this work. And as we say in these lands, in New Channels land, I'm done. I'm passing the talking piece next to Marilyn. Oh, you need to unmute Marilyn. I'm sure you're saying amazing things though.
We're not quite there, Marilyn. Looks like you're still.
Unmute.
There you go.
Okie doke. Okay.
Perseverance.
Oh my gosh. Hello, and thanks for joining us as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Carving on the Edge Festival. And I want to say a big shout out to all those, Helen, Brianne, Norma, Christopher, and the carvers whose work over the past 2 months has produced this wonderful weekend to celebrate the West Coast Carver and this special anniversary. When this idea came up, rather unexpectedly, I must say, at one of the board meetings, when Norma turned to us all and said, I think I'm going to ask each board member to come up with some ideas as to what we should be programming. Oh, I thought, wow. Because more normally our duties are to just kind of oversee the functioning of the festival according to rules and regs. It's a pretty cut and dry responsibility. So when we were asked to bring forward some ideas to celebrate this special anniversary, I immediately remembered a young carver I met in the early years of the festival, Tla-o-qui-aht Yelmer Wenstob, who Kelly just mentioned. And a piece he submitted in the Carving Edge art show, the Serpent Feast Bowl Train, which you saw as we were going through some of the photos from past festivals. it was used in traditional ceremonies, and it was carved with a large serpent head, complete with retractable tongue that doubled as a serving spoon, which was a hint that I took from the piece of Hjalmar's underlying sense of humor. Hjalmar was raised in Tarsus Island, Barkley Sound, in Tla-o-qui-aht First Nations territory. And as he says, it was there that his understanding and desire to pursue both his traditional Nuu-chah-nulth and contemporary art practices began. Hjalmar is an interdisciplinary artist who specializes in sculpture and carving. He is Nuu-chah-nulth from the Tla-o-qui-aht First Nations, as well as Norwegian and English, and speaks of 3 dialects that inspire his work: contemporary, traditional, and community-based. His art practice ranges from ceremonial masks for his community to community collaborative carving events to contemporary works, such as oil barrel totem poles and styrofoam bentwood boxes. He's the holder of an undergraduate arts degree and master's degree in visual arts at the University of Victoria. What attracted me to suggesting that he become part of this festival is, while his work honors his traditional culture, he does so with a contemporary lens, choosing issues facing Indigenous people and often the larger society as well. As an example, in 2018, he was among 3 emerging artists, young artists from across the country, just 3 across this vast country, to be selected to receive the William and Meredith Saunderson Prize. His submission was a totem pole made out of 2x4s as a political statement to draw attention to deforestation and the lack of old growth cedar. In his words, these are contemporary stories of how we are treating the environment. In awarding this honor to Hjalmar, the foundation stated, and this again is one of the reasons why he appealed to me when I met him the first time when we started talking about his work. His work at times is highly political and often uses humor and irony to pose difficult questions of respect, recognition, and environmental issues. Hjalmar is a busy fellow, to say the least. He teaches Indigenous studies at Camosun College in Victoria. And with his family, he owns and operates the Cedar House Gallery in Ucluelet, BC. But most importantly, carving out, pardon the pun, valuable time to spend with his young family in the Tla-o-qui-aht community of Taihastanis. His presentation on Sunday, March 28th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. will speak to his thoughts on the role of the carving arts for keeping record of significant world and societal events. As well, there'll be a short film supported by the Canada Council on his creation of a COVID-19 mask, which I'm looking forward to see, and a song he wrote in collaboration with his brother, Timmy Masso. So I invite you all to drop by virtually to enjoy this interesting and talented West Coast artist who lives in our midst. Thanks. Enjoy the festival.
Norma, I believe you're next.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Hello. Can you hear me? Am I good?
Hi, Norma.
Okay.
Sound good.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So good to be here. My name is Norma Dryden, and this is my 10th festival. I am so grateful to be here on the day that we're actually launching. We were really challenged with how one produces a virtual carving festival. And we took one huge leap of faith, everybody did all together, and many, 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 many small steps to arrive at today. So I am very grateful to be here. Thank you. When I was asked, when we agreed that we were going to bring forward ideas for the festival, I was curious, I had a question. And my question is what are the career carvers today thinking about and talking about, giving this last year of pensive time, traumatic time, and in a world that is changing and changing in ways that we can't even imagine, I think. So I wanted to know what the carvers were thinking about, the career carvers. And the Carving Festival has always been a place where that conversation has happened, carver to carver. So Christopher had brought forward the idea of working with Gord Dick. I thought it was a wonderful idea. I thought he would be a great host. And we began putting together a series of films, and it's called Carver to Carver. It's conversations that the carvers have been generous enough to let us view through film. They're intimate, they're contemporary, and there's much to learn. I want to thank Gordon Dick for hosting. He also curated several of the films. I want to thank Claudia Medina, who was our filmmaker. He talked with, he has a conversation with Kelly Robinson and himself, which answered my questions, very contemporary, as well as he's talked with Joe David and with Tim Paul. We've produced a series of 4 films and 3 shorts. They're going to be released as beginning tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. And they're there for you to view. We have a playlist suggestion because the playlist sort of progresses with how it evolved and how one question led to another. I want to thank everybody for their generosity and letting us share and bringing us inside this conversation, the carver to carver conversation. And I'm very excited to share with all of you our program for the next couple of days. And I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody's responses are. This is a launch into a new world. We're excited, we're unsure, and we are looking forward to sharing it. Thank you. Chu.
Passing the piece to Robin.
Thank you, Norma.
Sorry there, I was having some technical difficulties. I just wanted to introduce myself. This is my first Carving on the Edge Festival. So my name is Robin Rourke, and I come from the Yaklawanis clan from Haida Gwaii. My Haida name is Skoyu, and I'm an artist and a carver. So my journey started here in Tofino about 20 years ago. I was working and I fell in love with a beautiful Heshquit woman. In 2005, we got married in her traditional village in Hot Springs Cove. And I was given the Heshquit name Munaquin, and my wife was given the name Chutska. Chutska and Munaquin were my wife's ancestors, and those names were passed down to us. So that's a little bit about who I am. As I said, I am one of the board members here and an artist. And so what I felt really important to contribute to the festival is to, I really feel that language is really important to our work, and And I think it's important that we include Indigenous languages and create a connection to our elders. As Indigenous artists, we need to do our homework, and we need to learn from our elders and our ancestors. As non-Indigenous artists, I feel that we also need to do our homework, and we need to do our research so we could learn what is acceptable and what is not acceptable when we create our works of art. Many of our precious Indigenous grandparents and parents were forced to go to residential school and Indian day schools. And in those schools, they were forced to give up their language and their culture, and their carving and everything to do with their culture. It's not easy to move forward. And I feel that it's important that when we share the traditional work, we should also include the languages and create a space where we can support each other moving forward as a community. When I was asked to curate the program for the festival, I immediately thought of the work that the Heshwood elders are doing these days through the pandemic, to get through the pandemic. In the beginning, we were all in uncertain times, and we were stuck in our homes in isolation, and it was really hard for our elders and for us. And after a few months, it became very depressing, and we were, felt really sad. So as a carver, it didn't change my work too much because I'm often at home anyway. But for the elders, it meant that they could no longer meet for language gatherings, and they could no longer teach. So the only way to move forward for them was through technology. And for the first couple months, like I said, it was hard for everybody, but so the way to move forward was through technology. And the idea at the time was to give all the elders tablets, but not all of them were familiar with using them, and some of them didn't feel comfortable having internet in their homes. But over time, everybody started to accept having tablets, and they learned how to use them. But in the beginning, it was difficult because it was hard to teach over the phone. So what worked the best was to have the young people that live in their house to be able to teach them how to use the tablets. So since they learned how to use the tablets and teach in Zoom, they've been able to meet and gather, and to be able to they have a very large number of people that are learning from them now, and I have witnessed names being given online, and it's really neat to see how it is moving forward in this day, in this time. So I figure that this is an amazing opportunity tonight to meet and to listen to the elders, and to hear their stories. And what you bring from this opportunity will be different for everyone. But I highly recommend you sign in on this link tonight at 6 p.m. So hello for listening. Ush chuk chits itsk sush chu.
Thank you, Robin. One of our other esteemed board members is also here, Joe David, who's just getting up and walking away now, looks like. Joe, do you have some words you'd like to share? We're putting you on the spot here a little bit, but would you like to share about the upcoming this evening or the next few days of the Carving Festival? You're just on mute there. Looks like you're about to speak. There you go. You have a few minutes here.
I'm on.
We can hear you. Yes, good.
Right. I just want to welcome everybody, and congratulate all the board members and all the hard workers and all the artists for beautiful beautiful anniversary, beautiful years behind us. I'll forever remember that first time, and I told at that time the people there that you're going to remember this first year. We were at Tinwis, outside mostly. Wasn't very many people, and it was kind of moist days. It wasn't downpour, but there was some rain. But there was such a good feeling, hopeful feelings, and creative feelings. It was quite special, and it was easy to say that, easy to see that it would continue and really become something someday. And it quickly did. And of course, to the the main organizers and hard workers, and also the community of artists that we have here in Tofino, and people elsewhere that enjoy coming here to Tofino and being part of it. Artists as well as just visitors. I know people from many places, and some of them have traveled great distances to be here for the festival, and they couldn't say enough about how amazing it was. Collectors as well as gallery owners, and also teachers. They were all very moved by all the beautiful arts and the sense of community, friendship and sharing across races, across gender. So anyway, feels really good. It's a little bit odd that it's spring basically, and the Carving Fest is usually in the fall. But all the same, it's going to be pretty special. I'd like to thank all of you. Thank my friends Norma and Marilyn, Helene, my daughter Marika, all the hard work she put in over the years. Makes me happy and proud to be from here, and to be part of this in whatever means. It's a good thing. Thank all of you. You're beautiful people, each and every one of you. I know I'm talking to carvers, but the last level I've been working on actually some beadwork today. Always a little busy with something, but I love our territory. It's what gave birth to the art forms culture of our people. Each of the territories, the expressions in a culture, in what we call the arts, but all the expressions in what we now call the art forms, starting with the language, but the carving and the painting, the design work, the songs, the dances, and even the personalities of the people, and even the movements of the people, the way their body moved. Of course, that's all changing now because our ancestors lived in a completely different world than us. But that's what gave birth to the art forms, is our environment, our homeland, and we all take advantage of that by going out for our walks and out on the water in the canoes, and making the canoes, and also the adventures into the forest for medicines and just the companionship of the environment. Go say hello to the trees and the bush and the critters that you meet there. I do it regularly, and did it yesterday. But I was beating just now this little bag. I was down, not this trip, not this yesterday, but I was down walking Schooner Cove. It was summertime, and I was, my body's getting old now, and it's really good for the muscles in my body that don't get used otherwise, and it's also really good for balance. You know, keep my balance good. But I walk along the beach, but coming back, I always go through the beautiful sand dunes down there, because I like it. It reminds me of the desert that I love so much down in the Southwest. So I always walk through there. But one day I was walking through there and I came across a white dried out wolf turd. It was pretty big too, so it must have been a fairly good sized wolf. And I stooped over to look at it and I saw some black fur sticking out of it. So curious that I am, like artists are, I got a stick and broke it apart. And inside I found more black fur and also bear claw. And I thought, wow, that, you know, had been killed and eaten by this wolf. I just passed through a wolf from front door and out the back door. And I picked it up and brought it home. And now it's in this little bag. And I didn't tell anybody about it for a good while, which is in our culture, you know, when we have an experience, special experience, and especially if it's a powerful experience, you don't talk about it for a while. Some people say maybe even up to 4 days, but some people do it more. You don't mention it. You're not supposed to talk about it or show it to anybody. Keep it safe and quiet. So anyway, long story not short. I some days later, it must have been a week maybe, but maybe it was less. I don't know. Oh, at the time, I would go to Ucluelet to use the sauna at that exercise place, and I would go and supper time, so there'd be a few people to know people. And sure enough, I was sitting there alone until this one guy came in, this white guy, sat down and he didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing. We weren't there to talk. But just before he got up and left, he talked. He said, you know, that the wolves in the early spring, before the bears emerge, the wolves will dig in, tear into their den, because the bear is sleepy and weak, and they'll attack him and kill him. Then he left. Anyway, it reminded me of what's in my little bag here. Has nothing to do with carving, but I thought it was a neat story. It's good to see you all. Really good to see you all, and to share with you. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be different and strange, but it's going to be beautiful. We'll make it beautiful. We'll make it special. Chu, Tla-o-qui-aht.
Joe, go. Joe, thank you for that. Yeah, we are going to make it beautiful, and it is strange days indeed. Were there any other? Did we miss anyone, board member wise? I don't think so.
That's everyone, Christopher.
That's everyone. Thank you. Any other board member words before we close for a? No. Okay. Well, we are just a touch behind a schedule that we're probably not going to keep very well. and we're right on time with not keeping on time. But please do stay here. We're going to take a small 10-minute break and then join us back here again at the same link. You can just keep this running if you like. We're going to have a session, Heshkwit language action stories and a Heshkwit language lesson with Chutska Rourke and hosted also by Joe Martin. So we're going to put ourselves on mute, maybe turn our video off, but we'll be back here in 10 minutes time, and join us for that session if you would, please. We'd love to see you. Thank you again.
Joe, there's a question in the chat box. Joe Martin, can you post names and ways to contribute people you mentioned? So if you can put those in the chat box.
We'll just have a little chat about that and then we drop it in there. Or do you have thoughts?
Yeah, we have like a $50 donation from the Carving on the Edge Festival to these two families. $50 each to each family. So
They're wondering if where's the in ways that they might contribute.
You get other folks on the call are wondering.
yeah, I understand. Are up forward
Could
to
they make donations to the festival, then we can turn those funds?
Yeah,
Oh.
there's if you go to the festival website, there's a comment space when you donate. So if you put in the comments that you'd like it to go towards the families that Joe mentioned, then we can get it to those families.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, let's do that until maybe we have another way to do that otherwise. But okay, there's a bunch of folks who are just joining. I think you're joining for the 6 o'clock. We're just a little bit behind time. We're going to take 10 minutes or so. We'll be back here. We're just hanging out on this Zoom link. We'll be back at 6:11, let's say, 8 minutes from now. Joe.